Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again, and I'm here with my 1-week review of the Mi 10 Lite Zoom, also known as the Mi 10 Youth 5G. Now, typically after a week of use, I know if I like a phone or not, if it's growing on me, or if I'm ready to send it back to the shop. But in this case, this phone is very confusing. There are a number of aspects about this phone that I think are incredible, like this display. It's a gorgeous AMOLED display, only 60 Hz, but it is a beautiful panel. It's up there with the Redmi K30 Pros, and in terms of performance, guys, I just keep scratching my head thinking, how do they get a 765 into a phone that is so low cost with that AMOLED display that I love? But then I look at other aspects of this phone, like the cameras, which, while getting better maybe with some software updates, are still not the greatest, and this 48 megapixel OmniVision sensor makes me just still wonder, Xiaomi, what were you thinking? But beyond that, guys, overall, this phone is still a solid device. I don't think it's getting the attention it deserves, and so I want to go down here and answer just some of the questions I've been getting from you guys in this 1-week review of the Mi 10 Lite Zoom. So the first question I want to address is band support, because a number of you guys have asked, first of all, where can I get this phone and will it support my networks in my area? And here I share with you guys the bands, the 4G bands at least, that this phone supports. We're talking about bands 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 34, 38, 39, 40, and 41. And we have 5G bands N1, N41, 78, and 79. And so you may have heard it there, guys. There's no band 20 on this version of the phone, and you're gonna have to wait for a global version of this phone to be released. Now, another question you guys have been asking is, but Frankie Tech, isn't this the Mi 10 Lite? It is not, guys, because this is the Mi 10 Lite Zoom Edition that comes with that 8 megapixel periscope telephoto capable of 5 times optical zoom. And once you compare the other sensors on this phone, the fact that this does include the 50x zoom is a major win. I definitely consider this the most impressive camera of this Mi 10 Lite Zoom Edition. And so while on paper it may sound very similar to the Mi 10 Lite, it is a different phone, and I think it is a better phone, so you'll really need to decide if that band support is important to you, but just wanted to make sure I shared all the bands that this current phone is able to support. The second question I've gotten is about build quality. Does it really make a difference, these plastic build qualities, in terms of just the feel and look of the device? In terms of look, guys, absolutely not. You don't see it here on camera. If I told you this was metal, you probably wouldn't even notice. Xiaomi does such a great job of doing these hardened plastic edges on their phones. The Mi A3 had this before, and a number of other models, so I don't think visually it makes that much of a difference. It's when you take the phone and use it that you will notice you won't have that cool metallic edge that does make a huge difference. So it's really more down to once you get this phone hands-on versus seeing it in videos. And if you can live with that plastic edge, which isn't the greatest, but at least it still has that nice glossy look, I think the build quality is actually still pretty solid on this Mi 10 Lite Zoom. And another question, a big one, is when is this phone releasing globally? Is there going to be a global release? And that's the problem, guys. Xiaomi has so many different models that I could definitely foresee a Mi 10 Lite being the only global version of a type of phone of this kind that is released. This Zoom version may be relegated to their local markets, and you may not even see this phone in other markets, which would be a pity. But I predict this will start making its way to places like India and to maybe Southeast Asia or other parts of the world in a couple months time. And another quick question has been a practical one. I can't believe so many of you have asked this, but does this phone have a notification light? And yes, it actually does. It's a small one, but you can see right here when you're charging, there it is. It's right in the earpiece. It's a tiny little light. I honestly don't mind phones that don't have notification lights anymore. It's an old feature from a kind of a previous generation of smartphones that I think is going to go away completely at some point. But for you guys who still are holding on to that notification light, there it is. It's just a white light. It's not multicolored. There you go. And the other question I've gotten is about the fingerprint scanner and the vibration motor. How are these compared to some other Xiaomi offerings like the Redmi K30? Solid, guys, really solid. My only complaint is really that the fingerprint scanner is not higher on the display. And in terms of the vibration motor, it's a solid vibration motor, but it's not to the level of the Redmi K30 Pros. It reminds me of the one that we saw on the Redmi K20 Pro series and the Mi 9T, Mi 9T Pro. So those weren't terrible vibration motors. You won't have that much of an issue with the one in this phone. And the next question is really more of a value question, which I've gotten quite a bit. Frankie Tech, this has so many great features like the Snapdragon 765, good battery life, great audio with a 3.5mm headphone jack. Do those pros outweigh that major con of that OmniVision sensor, that 48 megapixel sensor? If you want the best photography in your smartphone, you're probably going to want to steer clear of this phone. But if you're not in that camp and all you want is the most specs for the best price, and I know we have that Redmi K30 5G out there, and it does have a 765, but it also has an LCD display. So for me, it's not even in the conversation. This may be one of two other AMOLED display phones, the Oppo Reno 3 Pro China version being the other one that has this kind of spec list. I think if you're looking for the best bang for buck 765 phone on the market, you have it here in this phone. And the last question, and I know a lot of us are pondering this together, is this the Mi A4? Now let's do a little bit of digging here, guys. So last year I reviewed a phone called the Xiaomi CC9, and it was a new series of phones from Xiaomi. It offered a tremendous display, Snapdragon 712 processor, and really great cameras, including a really quality front camera for a solid price. I think it was around 2,500 Hong Kong dollars, so around the similar price of this Mi 10 Lite Zoom. And that Xiaomi CC9 eventually went on to become the Mi 9 Lite. And a lot of us were hoping that Xiaomi would take that same CC9 and turn it into the Mi A3. But what we got instead was a lower level version of that Xiaomi CC9 Lite as the Mi A3, which, if you remember, came with that really unfortunate 720p AMOLED display. It was nowhere near the resolution of these 1080p displays we see. It was a real letdown, and while that phone was great, and I even brought it on my trip to the UK, I could just not see past that low-res display. It was really unfortunate. And so now here we are in May of 2020. Is Xiaomi going to adopt a similar strategy from last year? I really hope they don't, because if Xiaomi does turn this Mi 10 Lite Zoom into the Mi A4, I think it's going to do very well in global sales for them. Now, I'm still sticking by my guns though, because of the camera quality that this phone provides. I don't know if this is going to be the Mi A4, and if it doesn't turn out to be the Mi A4, what about a Mi A4 Pro? Xiaomi, we've never done a Mi A4 Pro before. This would be a perfect candidate for that type of phone. Just improve the sensor on the back. Let's add a Sony IMX, even 586 again. I don't mind. You'll have a great camera with terrific performance here if this turns into the Mi A4 Pro. But we shall wait and see, guys. The CC9 was a pretty popular phone for Xiaomi in China, and so they may be working on a second-gen release of that series, and that indeed could end up being that Mi A4 that we're all waiting for. But all in all, guys, 1 week in, this phone still impresses me just as much as it confuses me. I still think it's a great phone and a great option for you guys who want the best bang for buck 765 phone on the market, if you obviously can deal with that lower quality OmniVision sensor. That and the plastic build quality are the two major, I think, setbacks of this device. But it's still a great device, and Xiaomi continues to offer some of the best value in their budget and mid-range phones in 2020. But hit me up in the comments. What do you think of this Mi 10 Lite Zoom? Would you like to see this as the Mi A4, or would you like to see another phone take that spot? Hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for future updates. Stay tuned, guys. Some more exciting developments coming soon. Can't wait to share them with you. But anyways, this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech signing off. Have a good one.